Now in the final subtask of the CSV Data Analyzer project, we're going to be performing the function where we can filter data based on the column name and the value given by the user. So let's look at the objectives for this particular subtask. And similar to the previous subtask, we need to first handle empty data. That is, if no data is available, we should print out no data available. And we have to ask for a column name based on which the user wants to filter. And once again, we need to ask the user to give a value by which they want us to filter. And if the column name given is invalid, like a column name which is not present in the CSV file, then we're going to print out invalid column name. So after getting the values based on which we need to filter, what we need to do is we need to create another array which will store all the filtered arrays. And then we're simply going to print out the filtered arrays for the user. So here is our expected output. Coming to the code, let's look at the filter data function. It's going to return void and it's going to take array of arrays as an input. And this is exactly similar to the previous subtask where we're going to check whether or not the input CSV has no values or is null. And if so, we're going to print out no data available and we're going to return nothing. And if it contains some values, then we're going to print out enter the column name to filter. And now over here, we are going to take input from the user. And we're going to store it in column, and then we're going to initialize the column index as negative at first. We will see why later. And after that, we're going to iterate through each column present, which is headers. And while iterating through each column present, if headers I equal ignore case column. So what does equals ignore case mean? So if headers of I equals to the column name given by the user. So if a particular column name is equal to the column name given by the user, but why are we given equals ignore case? So we're just telling Java to ignore if the case is different. Like for example, let's say the user has given column in uppercase. Like let's say the user has given a column name, let's say age, all in uppercase, and the column present in the table is in lowercase. And that time when Java compares, it will say it's not equal. That's why we're going to give equals ignore case. Thereby it won't be case sensitive, and it's going to compare the column name given by the user and the column which we are currently iterating through. And if they are equal, we are going to assign the index of that column to the column index value, and then we're going to break out of the for loop. And in case you do not find the column given by the user, then the column index will remain -1 because we are not updating it after this. And if the column index is still -1, that means we haven't found the column. We're going to print out invalid column name and we're going to return from the function. And then after that, we're going to ask the user to give a value by which we need to filter through the column. So we're going to print out enter value to filter by, and then we're going to print out the column name. Now over here, we're taking input from the user for by which value we need to filter. And once again, we're taking the input as a string. And now, as I told at the start of this subtask, that we are going to have another array called filtered data, which will contain the filtered data. And now in this array, we're going to add whatever matches our filter conditions. So in this for loop, we're going to iterate through each row present in the data array. And using this line, we're going to get the value of each row present. And if row of column index equals value, that is, for a value present at a row and the column given by the user is equal to the value given by the user, then we're going to add it to the filtered data array. And after going through each row present in the data, and if filtered data array is empty, we're going to print out no matching records found. And if it's not empty, that is, it contains some rows, then we're going to print out filtered data and we're going to print out the actual row using display info. The code for the other functions and the main function is the same. Let's just run this code once. So let me give filter data, and let me give column name as name, and let me filter by the name Bob. So you can see we have found one row and we printed out the name. Let me just submit this code once. So we passed all 5 test cases. So that was it for our CSV Data Analyzer project. And this project was part of our course Java Project for Beginners, where we have 10 different Java projects from which beginners get familiar with Java. And if you're watching this on YouTube, maybe head over to CodeChef, try this project out, or try out any other course which might interest you. And if you're already watching this on CodeChef, great job diving into the solution. Move on to the next problem. Thank you.